So if we want to do something on the whiteboard, it's probably best to use that one over there so it was captured on the camera. Okay.
Your flyer you put out is what a class act. It really, really was impressive.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
When did you get yours?
Tonight,
So, yeah, me too. Got it today.
today, yeah.
Yeah. And it
Really,
was well done.
well done and just laid it out. Just, this is what it is. This is right, this is wrong, this is everything else.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Ellis, and the president of the board for the Rogue River Rural Fire Protection District, also known as Jackson County Fire District Number 1. Tonight, we are holding a workshop to discuss a proposed levy that is being put forward in the next election. And the purpose of this is to, one, dispel some rumors that have been placed on social media regarding funding, regarding possible mergers, and we're clarifying all that information so everybody gets the true facts of what's occurring. Tonight, we're going to have the fire chief do a presentation. The fire chief is limited to what he can say by Oregon state law. And following that, board member Jim Stearns and myself will be doing presentation and follow-up on the items that we just discussed. With that, we have two board members present for this workshop. Director Jim Stearns and myself, John Ellis. At this time, we'd like to go ahead and open up the workshop for local levy option. And I understand that there's a member of the public that would like to make a quick comment.
If I could, I'm John Bond. Like that. I just want to, with everything that's going on, I just want to make a record or discuss with whoever. This is a class act operation for lots of reasons. You know, we've seen it grow from another building to another building to this building and things like that. The people we have here, not just the firefighters, but all the bodies are class act. They know who comes in here. It's not like being in Medford, oh, who are you, where you live, what's this, or anything else. They know who we are. They know how to get help for us, and somebody's there for us all the time. And we are very, very fortunate with having that. But the really plus thing, we've got both a quality ambulance service and a fire service. We're very, very fortunate with that. And some hats, my wife got sick one. Within 10 minutes, somebody was there, you know, and everything else. But our ambulance service is just absolutely excellent. We're so fortunate to have it. And our fire department, and they're all one and the same, but still, they're just absolutely excellent. And we're lucky. We're very, very fortunate to have that. And this is a tough time financially for everybody, every place. Make a decision. And when you make a decision for this, for that, or something else, everything has a ramification one way or another. But this is the best investment we have going. And we're an elderly community. Unfortunately, we all represent that, not you. But at the same time, and that ambulance service is very, very important. I think if you'd have a tough time if you said, gee, what about you want fire, you want the ambulance? It'd be a tough decision for a lot of our people to make, you know, in terms of what they want the most. But we are an elderly community. We need all those services, but we need the ambulance service, the medical service, as well as the fire service. We need to do everything we can to take and do that. One of the rumors, I'm sure you're gonna talk about, oh, we should be joined with, join with them, or wherever the case may be. So then we can wait 30, 40 minutes, maybe for an ambulance to get here, be able to help us, or whatever the case may be. And I don't know if that is bad, but it's a lot different than being 4 blocks away, things like that. So we're a class act. Everything about us is a class act. Again, the services and the people make it the class act, and we need to keep that. And we need to keep it as our own individual entity, not having it be run by somebody that doesn't even know where Broke River is. That's what I wanted to say tonight. I didn't know who was going to be here or what the attitude was going to be, but that's what I would have said if it'd been a full house or what, and I have no problem being accountable for that in any way, shape, or form. I'm glad to be here, glad to be part of this for a long time, glad to see it grow, and glad to see what it is. And it's a tough time for everybody, but this is something we've got to have. And if you say, oh, if this doesn't pass, then well, that's okay. Well, if it doesn't pass, it's going to have ramifications someplace. You guys will make that final decision of what that is, but there will be ramifications. Sure. There has to be, and we want to keep what we've got.
Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, John. Well said.
At this time, I'd like to have Chief Hammond go ahead and make a presentation on what we're proposing with Levy, and then we will follow up from that.
Thank you, John. Are we sharing my slides?
We are.
Keith, if you're having trouble with that, I get a first grader to help you.
Can you make my slide go forward? Okay, I'll have you do it, Jenny.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. Thank you for those of you that are watching online. We're here to talk about the local option levy. The local option levy, we started some 20 years ago, 25 years ago in the year 2000 at a rate of 50 cents per thousand. And that money helps us pay for operations over and above our basic tax rate. We are required to renew it every 5 years, and we have kept it at 50 cents per thousand for the last 25 years. However, due to increasing operating expenses and a substantially increase in call volume, we're asking for a 30-cent increase in that levy. So about the fire district, we cover about 77 square miles. On the west side, we are up against Josephine County line. On the east side, we go to Gold Hill city limits. On the north side, we go to about the 4500 block of East Evans Creek Road. And then on the south side, the further south we go is Spitz Creek Road. And we cover 12 miles of Interstate 5 and 12 miles of the Road River. In addition to the fire district, we have an ambulance service area. We serve ASA number 1 in Jackson County. So we have advanced life support transporting ambulances, and we are one of 2 agencies in the Rogue Valley that will actually transport you to the hospital, Ashland Fire being the other one. They are paramedic level staffed, and they're trained in advanced cardiac life support, pediatric advanced life support, pre-hospital trauma life support, and the ASA is about 200 square miles. And that includes the fire district.
Mike, what does ASA stand for?
Ambulance service area.
Thank you.
I talked about the fire district and the ambulance service areas separately, but they are really one entity. So by that, I mean they share a budget, they share a board of directors, they operate out of the same building, they share employees. And what that means is that if the fire district has a reduction in service, the ambulance service will automatically have a reduction as well. Slide, please. I'm going to point at this with a laser pointer. I'm sorry, people online may not be able to see this, but I just want to talk about fire districts real quick in Jackson County. Maybe I won't do that. So these are the fire districts in Jackson County. We are fire district number 1. Fire districts are numbered in the order they were created. We was the first one that was organized in 1950, so we're fire district 1. Fire district 2 surrounds Medford. Fire district 3 covers Central Point, Gold Hill, and Eagle Point. Fire district 4 covers Shady Cove to the north, and fire district 5 covers Phoenix and Talent. And fire district 6 covers Evans Valley to the north of it. Slide please, Ken. So this is our fire district. Let me see if I can get this. So this is a picture of our fire district. It's 77 square miles. It goes from the county line on the west side to the city limits of Gold Hill on the east side. To the north, about the 4,500 block of East Devon Creek Road and West Devon Creek Road. And then down here you have Savage Creek Road, Birchley Creek Road, Foot Creek Road, Falls Creek Road, and Sardine Creek Road. So that's the fire district, 77 square miles, about 8,600 people in population. Now the ASA, ambulance service area, is 200 square miles. So if you was to take this line, go vertically all the way up to the Douglas County line, and same with this line here, all the way up to the Douglas County line, that would include Weimer, Evans Valley, Elderberry Flats, that whole area. 200 square miles covers about 12,000 people. So staffing is 3 administrative people. That's myself, administrative assistant Jenny Dar, and finance manager Jenna Krutnick. We have 3 captains. We have 10 firefighters that are either EMT or paramedic cross-trained. I have 1 single role paramedic and 3 students. So this is our call volume from 2003 to present. And as you can see, it's been a substantial increase in call volume. If you look at the last 10 years, so if you look at 2014 to 2024, in 2014, we ran a little over 1,600 calls. And last year we ran a little over 2,400 calls. So that's about a 30% increase in 10 years. This year, we're on track to hit 2,500 calls. And if we do that, that's going to be about a 7% increase in just 1 year. Some demographics of the fire district. This does not include the ambulance service area. Population is 8,241, a median age of 54, a median income of 52,000. 59% of you are white collar. That's a little surprising to me. 27% are blue collar and 13% are in the service. This is how we're funded. 68% of our funds come from property taxes, and that's divided between our base tax rate of $1.93 per thousand, a capital levy of 25 cents per thousand. We have to renew that every 10 years. We use that money to maintain the fire station and to make capital purchases of things like apparatus. And then the local option levy we use to augment operations, and that's 50 cents per thousand, and we renew that every 5 years. Ambulance fees make up 25% of our revenue. It's not a big money maker for us, but it does provide about 50% of our employees, and it places the ambulance in the district. Our community has made it clear to us that they want the ambulance coming from Rogue River and not from Grants Pass or Medford. So I went backwards 5 years and we did a detailed budget analysis and established trends. And we used those trends going forward 5 years to figure out where we're going to be and how we need to set the rate of the local option levy. And I just gave you 4 examples here on this slide of trends that we developed in the last 5 years. So health insurance has gone up 7.18%. That's each year. That's not over 5 years. That's each year. Workman's comp went up 28.2% each year on average. PERS went up 10% each year on average. Salaries went up 5% each year. So this slide right here kind of tells the whole story. In the last 5 years, from 2019 to 2024, our revenue has increased on average 4.94% annually, and our expenses have increased 7.1% annually. This is not surprising to us that we're in this situation. We recognized this problem several years back and knew that year after year after year, where you increase your expenses more than you increase your revenue, that eventually you get to where we are now, which is where we have to look at increasing our funding. Any questions? Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, we are recording tonight's meeting. I'd like to go ahead and introduce Jim Stearns. He's one of our board of directors who's going to discuss about some of our funding issues and everything. And it's all yours.
No, thank you. One of the things we're going to try to address this evening is some of the rumors that are out there and statements and things that came to be in the community. And there's a couple of them that I'd like to address. The first one is, gee, you guys have $1 million of extra money, ending fund balance and cash carryover, nearly $1 million. What do you need a levy for if you got all that money? Valid question, and there is some truth, some basis to it, in that yes, we do. We carry forward nearly $1 million on our budget year. And I'm going to try to explain that, why that's necessary to do. We all know the calendar year. Here it starts in January 1, and it runs down here to December 31. That's calendar year, but our budget operates on a fiscal year. And our fiscal year starts right in the middle of this. It starts here, July 1. And it runs to here, to June 31. Now, to complicate this a little more is the cycle that we receive our taxes. Here it is, October 23rd, and we all just got our tax statement from the county saying what we owe, and hopefully we'll all grin and bear it and pay those taxes. The county receives those taxes, and then the portion of those taxes that are earmarked for Rogue River Rural Fire District gets sent to us. We get those taxes in November. So every November, we receive the bulk of our taxes, which means from July 1, when our fiscal year starts, to November, we don't have any revenue coming in from taxes. It costs about, round numbers, $300,000 a month to operate this. We've got to operate it from July, August, September, October, before we receive those revenues. Now, the local hardware store, when we buy stuff down there, they want their money now. They're not willing to wait till November. And the same with everything we do. So at $300,000 a month, times those 4 months is $1.2 million that you better have available to pay your bills for those 4 months. Mike said about 25% of our income is from ambulance revenues. And fortunately, those ambulance revenues are coming in year round. So we have some money coming in. So instead of needing 1.2 on hand, and you better have 900,000, 850, 900,000 that you carry over from last year into this new budget, cover this gap in here goes along. And so, yes, we have about $1 million cash carryover, and it takes that to cover that 4 months. The next year, current year, we need the budget to have at least 850,000 of cash carryover to operate for that first 4 months of the next fiscal year also. This goes on every year. If you don't, and this department was in that situation in 2013 when I came here, one of the first things I had to do was go to the bank and say, we need a loan. Because we need a loan, an operating loan, carry us from July to November, because we don't have the money. There isn't the cash carryover to do it. We were successful in getting the loan, but that impacts your budget because now you're paying interest on a loan, pay it back, and you get your taxes. And the whole goal then was to get into a financial position that you didn't have to go to the bank for a loan that cost you more money. Fortunately, they've done a great job and done it, and they always budget to have a significant cash carryover to cover that period of time. And I think it's just, it's not a slush fund, it's good management. It's good fiscal responsibility to make sure that you have that covered for the next year. So that's the $1 million one. Anybody have any questions on that? The other question I heard, or the other concern that I heard was, well, you're just trying to get, and John mentioned this, you're just trying to get the tax rate up so that we're the same as District 3 or one of our neighbors, so it's easier to merge. That's not the reason. This is going to put us up not as high as District 3. I think they're still a little bit higher than where we're going to be, but it is going to put us up significantly, that additional 30 cents a thousand. And my opinion is that the day may come that we have to have conversations with our neighbors about a consolidation, merger, annexation, functional whatever that may be, because I don't see things changing. We don't want to keep coming to the voters, but our costs, Mike just said, our costs are going up 7% per year, and our revenues are going up 4.1 or something in those terms. Eventually, it'll get back to there. I think eventually, and this is just my opinion, and I know no one on the board right now is in favor of that. And I think, that's a reality that we're going to have to face someday is how do we do this? We all love having Rogue River Fire District and what it is. So I just want to assure people that's not the reason for this increase, but don't be surprised if someday we are talking about that. I believe there's a grant was applied for by Jackson 3. I believe it was Jackson 3. And there's a grant to fund a study that looks at all of Jackson County and the funding mechanisms of the fire district and make recommendations on how we could do things different, better, or maybe it'll come back and say, hey, you're doing what you can with what you have, that's as good as it gets. So any questions about the rumor, we're just doing this so we get up, rate up high enough so that we can merge in with somebody else. That's not the reason. The reason is we're short of revenue because costs have gone up faster than revenues and they're back in reality. Anything else?
You good? Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. A couple of the other things that impact why this levy is a necessity for the district. As the chief mentioned, we have operational costs. The fire district is no different than the homeowner is. As times have changed, there is increased requirements by the laws, by ordinances and things. We as a fire district have been impacted by that also. An example is OSHA requires that any structure fire we go to, we have to have a minimum of 2 firefighters that can go into the rescue and 2 firefighters outside that structure to protect those 2 firefighters that are working on the interior. 2 in, 2 out rule is what it's called. With that, that mandates additional manpower for the fire departments that we have to abide by. So we're legally meeting the laws of OSHA. If we fail to do that, we're subject to considerable fines. The other thing that came up in some of the social media and everything is there's a little confusion out there. We are the Rogue River Rural Fire Protection District. We are not the city of Rogue River. We work very closely and have a very positive relationship with the city of Rogue River. However, we do not receive any funds from their general fund. We do not receive any directions from the city council. We are an independent board and we are an independent fire district. So the confusion that's out there in some social media is saying, well, the city's getting an exorbitant amount on water fees and everything, and we shouldn't support our fire department because of that. We have nothing to do with that. We have no control of that. So we want to make it clear who we truly are. We are the Rogue River Rural Fire Protection District, and we are Jackson County Fire District number. One of the other things that impacts the carryover monies, which Jim brought up, is our staff has been very diligent in going out and receiving grants. These grants are anything from manpower to getting apparatus to developing programs to help mitigate fuels and everything. One of our programs that we received a grant for, we have to keep a certain amount of money, approximately 200,000, in our reserve in case we don't meet the expectations of the grant. If we don't meet the expectations of that grant, we are obligated to refund that money back to the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office. Fortunately, it's our opinion, we are going to meet that expectation and everything. However, that is reflected in our carryover monies. So with that, it creates a false representation of what we have for surplus monies. As was mentioned, our call volume has increased. Not only has our call volume increased, but the complexities of that call volume has changed. Wonderful electric cars, those alone create significant complexities on how we attack and suppress the fires with those. One of the things that we touched upon, and the chief brought this up, is that we are not successful in the levy. There will be a reduction in service. That reduction in service will be slower response times. Maybe we won't have an ambulance here in the community. And I can tell you, being a recipient of their services just 2 weeks ago, where my bride had a significant heart attack, had it not been for our medics and our fine staff, I wouldn't be here talking right now. I'd be dealing with other issues. And I compliment the staff and thank them wholeheartedly for that. The last thing is we are a special community. Rogue River always has and will be a special community. With that, there is a cost. No matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your business is, as time progresses, you're going to have inflation and costs associated. And yes, over the last 25 years, we've stayed at that one point and never increased our costs. In retrospect, maybe we should have been increasing our costs incrementally very little bit. However, we didn't, but we're here right now. And with that, I think it's very important to think of what you really need for services. You pick up that phone, dial 911. You know you have a professional responding to take care of your medical needs, to take care of your fire needs, to take care of your public needs. And yes, we still rescue cats and trees. Those are the kind of things the public is paying for. And that's what we want to continue to do to provide our service. I don't have any further comments with that. As a board, we would be happy to entertain any questions, but before that, anybody here in the audience that would like to speak to the levy, we'd like to hear from you, and then we'll open it up. Yes, John.
Can I just ask one question? And maybe I misunderstood. You said if this failed, we may not have an ambulance here.
If this levy
If
fails,
this levy failed, we may not have an ambulance service.
it could be if we don't have another mechanism for funding, it could. We don't know what services could be reduced because this is just not an increase of 30 cents. This increase in this levy is our entire levy.
I realize that.
Right. So it could be,
Well,
go ahead, Jim.
just speaking as one member, I can't speak
Yeah.
for the board, but I think before we took a step that far, we would have a number of sessions of work
Yeah.
sessions to
Yeah.
try to figure that out
Yeah.
with public input as to what are the critical things that we do and what do we have to keep
That's why I'm
doing.
asking that question. It sounded like.
Oh, thank you for
didn't mean
clarifying.
to sound like that, but if we, well, one of the things we will have it.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
I
It's a
don't-
reduction of service is what I was trying to say, and if I didn't articulate that correctly, I apologize.
Oh, no, not to
Yeah.
apologize. I just thought maybe I heard it wrong.
I don't want to, I don't think we do. We don't want to use that as a threat at this point because
No.
that's not
No.
the intent.
No,
We'll figure out what we can do and what we can't do.
right.
If we lose that.
And the other thing that goes in conjunction with that also, if we were to have a reduction in services, it could impact a homeowner's insurance policy. The insurance companies are regulated and managed by ISO, which is the Insurance Service Office. They base a fire department's capabilities on response, dispatch, water supply. There's all kinds of variables. One of those variables is manpower. And if we have to reduce manpower, it could cause an increase in property owners' home insurance of anywhere from 3 to 4%. So it's not like, nope, we're just not going to do this and things stay status quo. There's ramifications to it.
I would tell you that, if we have to trim $400,000 this next year out of the budget and 85% of our budget goes to personnel services, I don't see any way possibly trim that much without cutting staffing. That's just a reality that I think, and I'm just speaking from my point of view. And as John has said, and Chief has said, when you have a reduction in force, it has impacts.
I just asked that question just to clarify it in my own mind.
Nope, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Whatever reductions you have to make or whatever adjustments you'd have to make,
Or,
involves a process that you would go through.
oh yeah, we'll definitely have a process that will encourage public participation and all those things.
And the frightening part for us is it's this much this year. It's that much more the next year. It's that much more.
Yes, sir.
So my name's Cameron Free. I'm the president of the local 3513, the union that represents the firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs in this department. Just a couple of things I wanted to go over. One, because you brought it up, sometimes us and the board, we go head to head and we have some issues. I honestly don't believe it is the position or the desire of our board to reduce the staffing of this department. I believe they're trying to do what is best for this community and for this department as a whole. So starting there, there could be a reduction in services if we don't get this passed. It's not just we don't get the 30 cents, it's we don't get the 30 cents and we don't get the 50 cents that we have been accustomed to for the last 25 years. I believe this department, the board of directors, the budget committee, our administration have been very responsible, fiscally responsible to maintain this for the last 25 years and not go out and have to ask for an increase. But as they said, a reduction in service with the loss of that 50 cent would be detrimental to the department. Have not asked for an increase. We're limited to that 3% annual on the assessed values over the last few years. But one big point that I want to show is that our department does a whole lot more with a whole lot. Sorry, Mr. Stern, I'm gonna have to take away your nice over there.
Uh-oh. What marker
I
did
used
you
what was
use?
there.
So right now we're at 268 per assessed thousand. It's our current value thereabouts.
Per thousand.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're at 268 per assessed thousand. This is DCFD 1. District 3 is running approximately 311. And Shady Cove, our fire district 4, is also running about $3. I think they also got an increase recently. They're running about $3.
They're at 311 now.
They're at 311 now also. With that, and I went straight from, my numbers are slightly different than yours, chief. I went through the ECSO 2024 annual report. We're running approximately per that report, 3,370 calls per year. District 3 is running about 9,334. And Shady Cove is running 1,057 calls per year on an annual basis. So the calls that we're dispatched to and attempt to respond to. But one of the bigger variances that I see, we're a single station. Run out of one station. We house our ambulance, our engines, our personnel here. District 3's running about 4 stations, and District 4 has a single station as well. Which, if we break that down on an per station basis of the calls, one station running 3,370 calls, our single station is still running that many calls. You go to District 3, they have 4 stations. That cuts their responses that they do to about 2,333. And District 4 is still running 1,057 calls out of their single station. So we're running out of a single station more calls than our neighboring departments are, who have a higher rate than we do currently. In addition to that, we have lower staffing than they do. We have a large area that we have to cover. So just based on that, and our calls last longer because we run an ambulance service. So our calls, instead of lasting about 45 minutes to an hour, our calls are lasting on average about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Because now we have to transport to the hospital, transport back or come back to the station. So our personnel are doing a whole lot more with a whole lot less. And you add on the inflation numbers that we've had to deal with, not asking for increases in the past couple of years. Our personnel are doing everything they can to keep this ship afloat. And I commend our members, all of my firefighters and paramedics. I think they're doing a phenomenal job with what we have to work with and the numbers of calls we're running. Our calls are just increasing. Right now, though, I don't see the department or the board of directors being greedy or trying to get more money that we don't need. I think we're trying to keep going with what we got. And if we lose that money, our calls aren't going to go down. We're still going to be running 3,000 calls a year, and they're going to continue to go up as the years go on. Which means we're going to have fewer personnel running to the same amount of calls or more calls, We're gonna have longer wait times. We wait 20 minutes for AMR if they have an ambulance available to respond to our border and get into our district to respond to your call versus going from our station to your emergency. They're not available, we'll be waiting about 30 minutes for a Mercy Flight's ambulance to come from Medford. Again, if they have an ambulance available to respond. So right now, we're just trying to continue to provide the utmost professional service to this community that we can. And we need all the help we can get to do so. So based on all of that, I urge the members of the community to vote in favor of this.
Thank you. Any other comments? With that, we'll go ahead and conclude this workshop. And we appreciate everybody taking their time to participate. And as this develops, we'll keep everybody apprised of where we're going to go with the district. Thank you again and have a good evening.